So why do you need a Catholic priest?
About 2 years ago, I started investigating the deaths of the Carmichael family. The lineage of all these people leads back to a smashed pickup truck along Route 103 in 1989.
You want to exorcise the Carmichael.
Our family's killed that poor girl. Now we're forced to pay the price for it.
Everyone in that truck was eventually hunted down.
We're all going to be punished.
You still haven't told me everything that happened to you at the Abaddon Hotel.
Whatever was in that hotel, it's out now. It's among us.
What does this have to do with me? I'm not from here.
That one mistake has bonded so many of us for years. It's a blood bond.
Somebody open the door!
In that vanished abode, they're far apart. On that disused, forgotten road, night comes. The black bats tumble and dart. By the power of our Lord Jesus Christ,
We can dine here. They're coming for you.
God the Son commands you.
Pray to him, you'll never come back.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the latest episode of Fresh Cuts. This is Mike. Join me as always. It's Mr. Venom. What's up, Venom?
Greetings and salutation, listeners. I'm not even sure what adjective to use this time. How the hell are you doing, Mike? I'm doing all right.
I'm doing good. I mean, nothing much new to report here. I watched a few movies this weekend, and all to varying degrees of liking. And we'll find out where that leaves the one we're actually covering for the show once we get into it. But other than that, yeah, nothing much. I guess it's a little bit of a Halloween hangover, being the beginning of November now. So also with us, it's Dawn and Nelly. What's up, Dawn?
Yeah, what's going on? Always happy to be here.
All right. So I think it's probably assumed, or would have been assumed, that we were covering Frankenstein. I guess that would be the biggest release, unfortunately, just due to scheduling and kind of availability at theaters, the way they did it in certain cities.
The fact that I'm still injured and I am not sitting in a 2.5-hour movie with my back as fucked up as it is.
Yeah, that too. That doesn't help matters. Yeah, so we're not doing Frankenstein. We will probably, I mean, I don't see why we wouldn't talk about it on the main show.
I have no qualms covering it when it hits Netflix properly.
Yeah, that's also another option, is to like do an episode depending on like what else is coming out and what we feel about it at the time, because sometimes it's just a matter of timing, like what other releases. But anyways, so we had some options just because we've had frequent theater visits for a while. So VOD did kind of have a stock of stuff, and we went with the one on Shudder, partially because it's part of a franchise. I think we all liked the other ones to varying degrees. So it was like, let's check out how they're finishing. I think they stated that this was supposed to be the final one, but who knows? And that would be Hell House LLC Lineage, the fourth entry, a prequel, if you will.
Fifth.
Oh, the fifth? Oh, yeah, this is the fifth. Damn.
Yep.
Wow. Okay. Yeah, so the fifth entry and maybe the final one. We'll see. I don't know if they stated that definitively, but
I think it's at least the fifth one with this creative crew. I don't know if they're going to continue the franchise, but I think this creative crew, is done with it.
yeah, whether that's a surprise or not, once we start talking about it, we'll find out. But I'll take the synopsis off IMDb. After a near-death experience, Vanessa Shepard faces nightmares in Abaddon as mysterious deaths occur around her. She discovers her connection to the Abaddon Hotel, Carmichael Manor, and decades of unexplained murders. All right, Venom, what did you think of Hell House LLC Lineage?
Now, I've seen franchises kind of go to shit over the years. Obviously, we're all older horror fans here. we've got the examples of the, Friday the 13th with Jason Goes to Hell and Jason X, and obviously Freddy's Dead and multiple Leatherface and Halloween entries. But I have never in my life seen a franchise take a nosedive like Hell House. My friends, I absolutely adore the first Hell House. It is an annual watch for me every October. I just watched it a couple of weeks ago. It is an absolute triumph. I feel like there's not a wasted frame in that movie. It's so damn well made, well acted. It just works for me on every level. And then we just got diminishing returns as we kept going through the franchise. I absolutely hated the third one, Lake of Fire. And then the fourth chapter, the Carmichael Manor. When we reviewed it on the show, I said that it was a nice return to form. Maybe not a return to the original form of the first movie, but at least it was a watchable movie compared to Lake of Fire. Well, my friends, it absolutely disgusts me to say that Hell House LLC Lineage is not even watchable. This movie is garbage. And this is the same creative team that made all 5 of these movies, written and directed by Stephen Cognetti. I want to know what the hell happened to Cognetti. Like, what, in your infinite wisdom, why would you want to make a full production narrative sequel to one of the better found footage franchises out there? I'll never understand this whatsoever. This movie is confusing. It's slow. It's dumb. It's uninteresting. And it has an ending that is so fucking frustrating. I wanted to throw something through my 70-inch 4K television. This movie is bad, 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 capital BAD, my friends. And it's going to be hard for me to really pinpoint all the badness about this movie because there's so much, and B, there are long sequences in this movie where just nothing happens at all. And it's like, this is a horror film? Like, what am I watching? You're so uninterested in the characters in this movie. Like, you just don't care. At least for me, I found myself not giving a rat's ass about anybody in this movie. I just really wanted it to end. I mean, this is one of the longer Hell House entries at 1 hour and 50 minutes. And man, it feels every bit of that 1 hour and 50 minutes. I was thoroughly bored, thoroughly uninterested. And then one of the greatest things, at least for me personally, that I love about this franchise is just all the crazy stuff they do with the clown statues, but without actually seeing them move necessarily. In this movie, that's about all we fucking got, was the clown statues just moving constantly, actually physically attacking people. And it takes the mystery, it takes the fun away from all the goodwill that at least the first 2 Hell House movies, built up. And I will never understand. And then I read a quote from Cognetti where he actually said that, he decided to make this one not found footage because he wanted to make this one legitimately scary. That was his fucking quote. If I ever meet that man, I'm going to slap the taste out of his mouth for wasting 1 hour and 48 minutes of my life with this tripe. Just like I said, uninteresting. Yes, we get the clowns back, which are always great to see. They're like a staple of the Hell House franchise now, but just the way that they're utilized in this movie was just so cliche, derivative, been there, done that. Like, there was nothing original about it, nothing cool, nothing different. It just felt, this felt like a Blumhouse movie, but without the jump scares. That's pretty much what it felt like to me. The bad acting, the bad writing, the bad direction, just bad everything. Like, there's just about nothing. We get one good kill in this movie. There's multiple kills in the movie, but most of them are off screen. We get one decent little throat rip on screen, and that's it. But that's just not enough to save this movie. And I, as a hardcore fan of this franchise, was hoping to get some answers, a little bit more about the backstory with, Tully and the Abaddon Hotel and the Carmichael Manor. And it's like, the backstory that we get is fucking stupid. It's petty. It's like everything that's happened in 5 Hell House movies is all because of a fucking car accident. Really? Really? Go fuck yourself, dude. Like, it just felt like the first trilogy was building this grand story, this big heaven and hell, gates of hell opening type story. And then we come to find out that this was the catalyst event that started all of this. And I was just so disgusted with this whole thing. So I'm going to leave my general thoughts there because I'm going for a short episode today. So yeah, this is one that even if you're a fan of Hell House, I just don't see any redeeming qualities. I don't see any reason to watch it. Obviously, if you're a completionist and you want to finish the franchise, go right ahead. But as much as I love the first one and still really enjoy the second one, I can't recommend Lineage to anyone. I mean, if you want to watch something really boring for 2 hours, then rock on. But otherwise, I would say leave Hell House Lineage alone and just watch the first 2 movies over and over again. So that's it for my general thoughts.
All right, Don, how about you? What did you think of Lineage?
In the interest of keeping things short because of my back, I'm in totally agreement with this one. I kind of follow the same sentiments with the franchise. I'm not quite at love with the original, but I would definitely say it's up there in terms of my favorite found footage. Maybe an outside top 10. But yeah, it's still really good and I still really enjoy it. 2's a bit of a step down, but I still really like it. I like the way it expands the lore. I like the way it has some fun setups that kind of carry on what we learned in the original. Not quite as effective, but still really good. 3's not quite as bad as Venom says, but it's still not really all that worthwhile. Just kind of goes off into a bonkers territory. It doesn't really need to. Has some really weird ideas in play, but I think it's a little bit better than Venom said, but I'm still not that much of a fan of it anyway. Origins, I enjoy. I think it's probably the best one after the original. Again, a step down, but I still really like it. It has some fun ideas behind it. Definitely has a few problems here and there, but a definite worthwhile effort, especially since the other 2 were, diminished returns, so to speak. But what the hell happened here? Yeah, this is pretty much. I wouldn't even call this Hell House LLC Lineage. I call this Hell House LLC Info Dump because that's pretty much what the movie is. It's just endless info dumps about what went on, and the whole thing, like Venom said, is based on a car accident. Like, what the hell happened to the satanic cult, and whatever happened to unleashing all these demonic demons that infested this place and caused all the chaos in the first films? Like, I thought we were bringing together some kind of apocalyptic into the cult Lovecraftian demon being, and it's based on some freak car accident, and now all these people are being killed off because someone got injured or something. I have no idea what's going on. The story makes no sense. It doesn't really connect with the franchise all that much, and it's just not interesting. Like, it's info dumps. Like, it's basically just listening to people have long drawn out conversations with each other where they spill the beans about the past relationships, and maybe there's a kill spliced in between all these. Maybe there's some kind of investigative work going on, but yeah, there's just nothing here. And I mean, the technical qualities look okay. It's the shift away doesn't really mean much, but I mean, it still looks like a professional film, but that's just scraping the bare minimum here. I mean, the clown doesn't really get to do much. It's the one responsible for the kills, but Venom says there's a good kill in here. I didn't remember it, if there was. it's decent for, this kind of thing, but either way, there's just nothing here. The story makes no sense. It's confusing as hell. It doesn't really tie into the established lore that the rest of the franchise has been building on. And it just goes off into a direction that's not interesting. And just, it's like nearly an hour and 15 minutes too. Like, why the hell is this thing so long? Like, it's a struggle to get through. Nothing happens. It's all conversations and info dumps, and it doesn't tie into the franchise all that much anyway. So yeah, it's really not worth your while. I can't see anybody even doing any. I can't see anybody taking anything away from this one. I I really don't know what else to add because there's just not much else to it. Um, Trying to think back, but yeah, I can't really come up with anything because Venom already said what I felt needed to be said. So I guess Mike, back to you.
Yeah, this movie sucks. Like, it's just not good. It's not entertaining. It's boring. It's like we get, I guess, a handful of moments with the clown, which is like the one element that's like, oh yeah, I'm watching a Hell House movie. But even the clown, I don't know, it doesn't have the same effect like out of kind of like the found footage style, and
Mhm.
I don't know, it's just like like well, what there's always a stigma kind of like sometimes with franchises where like, oh, they fall into the rut of doing the same thing over and over again. And I understand that criticism, but if you can do the same thing again and really well, I prefer that to whatever they thought they were doing for this. Like, this feels like they were done with the franchise with the prior entry, and I don't know if they got talked into it or they just didn't have anything else like to do, like to make. They couldn't come up with any other ideas, so they just, let's force another Hell House movie out because I don't know. There's nothing about this that screams like, yes, we needed to make this movie because we had something more to say or to add to this story. It just, I, when I say it, like unnecessary, that's like my previous point. When you call something unnecessary, that technically can be applied to like many sequels in many franchises, but unnecessary doesn't always mean bad. You can make
Mhm.
unnecessary sequels and they turn out to be really fun. I mean, just look at like a lot of the 80s slashers franchises. Those went on endlessly, for a decade, and most of the time they were fun. Like, they weren't all great. There was varying levels to each one, but most of the time you would come out thinking, okay, if anything, that was a fun time. So that example of unnecessary but still entertaining, still good, still fun. This is a different category of unnecessary where it's like I don't know what the point of this one was, because if it, instead of like adding to like the lore, it just kind of like changed it to something way less cool, way less interesting. It doesn't feel like it even kind of attaches or builds off like what we kind of were already understanding from the other entries. I don't know, like I don't know like why like it makes no sense why this movie was made or what they were even thinking. So I don't know how much else to add. It was kind of tough to get through. I actually like started watching it I think last night and it was late and I had to stop it, but mainly because I was tired and I was like, maybe I'm missing something with this. Like, maybe I'm just too tired. And when I throw it on in the morning and can have a clearer sense of mind, I'll realize I missed all this stuff. And that's why it didn't seem like it was very good. No, it kind of seemed worse the more I was able to actually pay attention to it. So, yeah, it's sad to say because like Venom and Dawn, like I'm a fan of the first one. I think the first one kind of gives you everything you would want out of a haunted house found footage. The second one I'm still very on board with, not quite as good as the first, but it keeps the lore going. And even the third one, which I think the third one's the one where like the third act kind of gets like over the top. I still think overall as a movie was
Mhm.
fine. And Yeah, I don't know. Uh, I'm I'm kind of at a loss for words for like how bad this one is compared to the rest. It's like the one that you just want to like not even acknowledge. Like, hey, we're gonna watch the Hell House movies. Well, not that one though. So I'll leave it at that for now. Back to you, Venom.
My question is, why is it that when found footage franchises start to like lose ideas, they abandon the found footage and think that the franchise is going to keep going? I mean, Wreck is potentially one of my favorite found footage movies ever, and that last one, which basically wasn't found footage, was just not very good. Now we've got Hell House. They did the same thing with Blair Witch, with the second Blair Witch movie. They gave us a full production narrative movie that made no real sense when, talking about the first one, when comparing it to the first one. So yeah, I don't know, man. Um, maybe don't make found footage franchises unless they're anthologies, unless they're like, VHS, in which case, yeah, you can have different directors and different stories pretty much every year. But with standalone stories, a single narrative, I don't know, maybe 3 is the limit, because it seems like when they try to go past it, they abandon found footage, and then it just becomes just another movie. I mean, literally, if this wasn't called Hell House, it would just be another movie. I probably wouldn't hate it as much if it wasn't called Hell House. If it was just called Lineage and it was an original story, I maybe might not have hated it as much. But the mere fact that you've got the Hell House moniker on it, there's certain expectations, and then you pop it in and it's not even found footage. Like, that's the first disappointment right there. And then just the rest of the movie just becomes a series of more disappointments. They try to connect this to the last movie. Like, we actually see a couple of the cold case investigators from the last movie, from the Carmichael Manor, in different scenes in this one, almost like the way Insidious and Insidious 2 would have the same scenes, but from different perspectives. We kind of got a little bit of that here, but obviously not done nearly as well. And then our main protagonist is introduced as a survivor of that Carmichael Manor event, but she wasn't in the movie. At least I don't think so. Granted, I did not go back and watch Carmichael Manor, but at the very least, I did check the cast, and both the actress and character of Vanessa does not appear in the Carmichael Manor, yet she's called a survivor of that event in this movie. So I don't know. Your guess is as good as mine as to what Cognetti was thinking with this one. But yeah, this is the point where I would usually ask my co-hosts if they have any additional comments before we get into the walkthrough. But since I care so little about talking about this movie, I'm skipping right into it and going into our very confusing walkthrough, which, again, maybe if I had watched the Carmichael Manor as a refresher before going into this one, maybe this one would make a little bit more sense. So folks, if I miss very obvious plot points, please forgive me. I have no desire to go back and watch the Carmichael Manor, even as like a sense of homework to prepare for the next one. I just don't really have much of an interest. So as a standalone movie, this thing is terrible. Maybe as a continuation of the Carmichael Manor story, it might be a little bit better, but like I said, I remember so little about that one that this one just kind of left me scratching my head. So let's get into it. Our movie opens up at a funeral. It is we find out that the date is 1989, and it is a funeral for the Carmichael family. And we were introduced to these 3 members of the Carmichael family, Catherine, Margaret, and Patrick, in the last movie. But then in this movie, we find out that Margaret dies. That's the funeral that we're at, is Margaret, the older sister. We find out that she died from a car accident, and the other driver, and not just the driver, but the driver and the passenger of the truck that killed Margaret, were all drunk. They were basically drunk driving, should not have been out on the road, and they ended up killing Margaret. At Margaret's funeral, we see Catherine speaking to Patrick, telling him that he needs to do the prayer. Patrick says there will be no prayer at my sister's funeral, and that we will get revenge. He basically swears revenge on all the people that are responsible for this. So there's your catalyst event right there. Now, fast forward about what 30 years or so, and we're introduced to Vanessa. Vanessa is a bar owner, a local bar owner here in the town of Abaddon. She actually, believe it or not, she actually, after surviving the events of the Carmichael Manor, she left Abaddon, but then somehow came back, decided to come back to town, buy a bar, a cellar bar. It's actually called the Cellar. And she's, now a local businesswoman. She's in therapy. We see her with her therapist in a couple of scenes. After leaving the therapist one day, she sees another member of the community. I forget Bobby. Bobby Hopewell was his name. And he is another person who has survived encounters at either Hell House or the Carmichael Manor. And of course, don't forget, Hell House is gone by this point. It burned down at the end of part 3. So just to kind of keep that in the back of your head, which is why the franchise has moved on to the Carmichael Manor, because there is no Abaddon Hotel. Anyway, Bobby that evening reaches out to Vanessa saying that he wants to talk to her about, what's going on and some of the nightmares that he's been having, which of course Vanessa has been having those same nightmares and hallucinations. But eventually that night, literally right after Bobby calls Vanessa and leaves a voicemail, he realizes that there's someone in his house. And when he turns around, there it is. It's our famous clown. The bleeding eyes clown is back. And he is literally just standing in the hallway of Bobby's house. Eventually, I thought that we were going to get a lot of like what they did with the first couple of movies where the statue would move, but we wouldn't actually physically see it move. It would just end up in another spot. But no, they pretty much subvert that right away, as we see the clown basically give chase, and he ends up killing Bobby. The next day, Vanessa finds out that Bobby was killed, even though she had gotten the message from him. And she did end up replying to the message, giving him permission to call her so that they could chat. But of course, by that point, it was too late. Bobby's already gone. So now she's basically still having hallucinations. Like she sees, her friends, she sees random ghosts that, may or may not be people that we've seen from previous entries. I couldn't completely confirm or deny, just because, like I said, I'm not rewatching some of the bad chapters of this movie. She ends up hooking up with a private investigator who is investigating some of the crimes, the murders and the missing persons and everything that's going on in Abaddon. She ends up putting more pieces together, and then she's the one who actually kind of figures out exactly what's happening. And this is where we get our kind of reveal. We already know about the car accident. We already know about Patrick Carmichael cursing all those that were involved. But now we find out that not all the people that died either at the Carmichael or Hell House were directly involved with the accident, but they had connections to it. Like somebody might be a cousin of somebody and hence why this movie is called Lineage, because the spirits that I'm assuming the Carmichaels, made either some kind of deal with the devil or deal with demons, maybe conjured up demons to get revenge for them. And that's kind of what we're looking at. So, like I said, this private investigator figures it out, and she figures out that Vanessa is indirectly tied to someone who was involved in that accident, one of the drunk people in the truck, which we don't even get a flashback scene. Like, it's not like we even get to see the scene. It's just described to us multiple times throughout the film. After getting this information about the people in the truck, Vanessa realizes that she's potentially a next victim, and then there's another young member of the community in Abaddon named Max, who is also I think he said it was either his uncle or his father who was one of the people in that pickup truck back in 1989. So he knows. And then the other thing too is that potential victims will find a red baseball somewhere in their house. Like they'll hear a noise, they'll go to investigate, and then when they come back, there'll be a red baseball in their house. Bobby found one right before he was attacked. Vanessa finds one in her bedroom, and then Max ends up finding one and bringing it to a meeting that he has with Vanessa. Vanessa basically is trying to talk to Max because, and the thing is too, is I don't even know if Max has ever been in one of these movies. He just kind of shows up in this movie as a character, as someone who's connected to that car accident. He talks about, he ends up meeting Vanessa at the site of the old Abaddon. So obviously it's just grown over, it's just grass. There's no building. The building is gone. And he's basically talking about the nightmares that he's been having and just hallucinations, and that he keeps finding red baseballs in his house, blah, blah, blah. So at the meeting, he basically pulls out a handgun and tells Vanessa, I can't take it anymore, and I'm not going to allow them to take me. I'm going to go out on my own terms. Vanessa, of course, is pleading with him to not do it, because, of course, if Max kills himself, that leaves Vanessa pretty much alone to have to deal with all this. There's also a priest character in the movie that the private investigator hires to perform an exorcism at the Carmichael house. Now, obviously, since this priest is local, he's very familiar with the Carmichael house. And at first, he says no. He says, I'm not going to bother. That house is so evil, or whatever his explanation was. But of course, come the day of when Vanessa is, and why Vanessa is going into the Carmichael house by herself is beyond me. She can't perform an exorcism. So it's like, if you weren't 100% sure the priest was going to show up, why are you even there? But luckily, of course, it is a movie. So the priest does end up showing up. The private investigator and the priest go into the Carmichael house to start an exorcism. And then at the same time, that's when Vanessa and Max are having their little meeting at the site of the old Abaddon. In the Carmichael house, of course, we get supernatural events. We get the second clown statue, if you remember the second one, that didn't have blood on his face and wore that cute little hat, that kind of Art the Clown style hat. We see him sitting in a chair in the hallway. The priest and the private investigator both go in a different direction. They're like, let's not go down that hall, for obvious reasons. But then they realize that the most active room is the one that the clown is seated in front of. So they have to go into that particular room to perform this exorcism. They do exactly that. They walk past the statue, or the clown statue. He doesn't move. He stays right there. But eventually, after they go into the main room where they're going to perform the exorcism, the clown does get up and give chase. Like I said, we see both clowns moving like they're just basic serial killers in clown costumes. And it just took away all the mystique that was built up from these first couple of movies with these clowns. Like, I never wanted to see them move like that. It's kind of like Annabelle. I don't want to see Annabelle move, because technically Annabelle is a what's it called? She is a catalyst item for Malthus, the demon. So it's not Annabelle that's actually killing, it's Malthus, the demon, who's killing and utilizing Annabelle. But for the most part, we don't see Annabelle move. And that's kind of one of the things I like about that. I don't need to see Annabelle move. She's not Chucky, so I don't want to see it. And with these clown statues in Hell House, it was the same thing. I thought that they were ultimately terrifying when they would just move position, when they would be in one part of the house and then suddenly they'd be in another part of the house, but we never ever saw them move. To me, that's way more terrifying than actually seeing them give chase to a potential victim. So, like I said, little been there, done that. Anyway, while they're performing the exorcism, of course, we do end up seeing the image of Margaret Carmichael as a very rotting spirit. I mean, she's a ghost, but she looks like a rotting corpse. While the father is trying to perform the ritual, she ends up getting up out of the casket. Basically, a casket just appears in the room after they walked in. Like, it wasn't there when they walked in, but then once they walk in, close the doors and prepare for the ritual, a casket shows up on the opposite side of the room. which is where Margaret Carmichael's spirit comes out. She ends up attacking the priest and basically ripping his throat out. Like she grabs his throat, trachea, whatever you want to go with, and just kind of rips a big old chunk out of it. I'm not sure if it was CGI. I didn't really rewind it since I wasn't that interested. But ultimately, it is the only on-screen kill in the movie. We don't get to see Bobby get killed by the clown, and we don't get to see Vanessa's ex-husband get killed by the clown either. They're both killed. I barely brought up the ex-husband because he's barely a plot point in this movie. He just ends up being fodder for one of the clowns, so who cares? After the priest is killed, eventually the second clown shows up. So basically, while Margaret Carmichael is dealing with the priest, we see the second clown statue come to life and attack the private investigator. Her kill is off screen. The camera then transitions outside the house, and we hear like bone crunching sound effects, but we don't actually get to see the kill. Blah blah blah. Like I said, this is after Max has already taken his life at the site of the old Abaddon. At this point, after Vanessa goes back to her bar, Max's spirit is sitting there waiting for her, and he's got that nice new, gunshot wound in his head that he just gave himself. They end up exchanging more information, and he ends up basically telling Vanessa, "Oh, your friends are dead. They're already gone." Basically, the private investigator and the priest, which technically they're not really her friends, but whatever. So he says, "Yeah, your friends are dead. They're already gone. There's nothing you can do." And then the final scene of the movie is the one that leaves me completely scratching my head. She ends up talking to another member of the community. Wait. No. What happens is we find out that the house that they've been searching for, the house that is the center of all the evil, is not the Abaddon Hotel, and it's not the Carmichael Manor either. It ends up being some shack that looks like it might have been used as a church because there's a big black cross in front of it. And Vanessa's been dreaming about this place. She's never actually been there, but she's been dreaming about it. And while she's having the conversation with dead Max, with Max's spirit, he's the one who informs her, "Oh yeah, the home that you guys have been looking for isn't the Abaddon Hotel, and it's not the Carmichael Manor. It's this place," which apparently she ends up finding. And then after she finds it, that's when she ends up having this conversation with someone else who I have no idea who the hell it is that she's talking to. But as it turns out, she is actually a twin of somebody else that was also killed in Abaddon. I don't remember if it was at the hotel or if it was at the Carmichael Manor. But it turns out that the reason that all of these spirits and demons have wanted Vanessa is because she is the twin sister of another character that had a big impact on this franchise. And like I said, I don't remember who it is, so I'm not going to bother looking it up. And then the fucking movie ends right there. It ends mid-conversation, literally, where she realizes that she's a twin, and then it just ends. And I'm just like, what the fuck? How is this the way that you end this franchise? That's what doesn't make any fucking sense to me. At least with Lake of Fire, the third chapter, as much as I hated that CGI monstrosity at the end of the movie, that just awful portal opening, at least it would have been a legitimate end to the story, We see the portal open, everyone is pulled into it, the house burns down, bam, done. Instead, they bring in now a secondary story with this Carmichael Manor, which, like I said, the first Carmichael Manor movie wasn't terrible. I actually did enjoy it. Not nearly as good as the first two in the franchise, but I still did enjoy it. This movie, I just don't know. It's like Steve Cognetti discovered cocaine or something between the last movie and this one, because this movie is just so confusing, dumb, dull, lame, unwatchable, and should be ignored by everyone, especially hardcore Hell House fans. And that's my 2 cents. I'm leaving it at that. So back to you, Mike.
They ended it mid-conversation because even they were like, It's over with. Let's just.
How do we end this? How do we end this goddamn movie? They did a Sopranos ending, which you're not the Sopranos, motherfuckers. Don't do that.
It's one thing to I was gonna say it's one thing to leave it ambiguous with intent, and it's the other because they can't figure out what they want to do.
Exactly. And and I am reading that this is the final chapter. I mean, like Don said, maybe another creative team might pick up the reins and keep going with it, like a Creep Show 3 situation. Ugh. I can't even say Creep Show 3 without throwing up in my mouth. Yeah, exactly.
Don't say that.
I just threw up in my mouth a little bit. So anyway, yeah, Cognetti, what the fuck, dude? How is this the way that you decide to end your franchise? And how dare you say that this is going to be the scariest chapter? I mean, was this movie scary, like, at all? I don't think I even felt tense at any point during this movie. I was just bored.
I think the cold open is probably the closest with the clown in the carnival scene, but I mean, even that's done like, dime a dozen kind of sequences.
Exactly. And that guy was an idiot. Come on. You see a pile of money just out of the blue and you don't think that's a trap? Come on, dude. You should have half a brain in there, but apparently he doesn't. So, yeah. All right, Mike, take us home so I can get out of here and watch a good movie.
All right. Yeah, that's going to wrap it up. Maybe for the franchise, we'll see. I mean, we hear that a lot.
Please. Fingers crossed.
I guess we can end on anything new from everybody here. Anyone here?
I mean, nothing since the last episode, since we did have a short turnaround this time. It's just episode 43 of No More Room in Hell is currently available, where we look at 1943's Frankenstein Meets the Wolfman. That is our October Halloween creature feature episode, so check that out. I'll let Mike talk about the main show, and that's about it. Hopefully, with all the Halloween responsibilities now behind us, I'm hoping that the Crystal Lake gift shop will be back in November, so fingers crossed for that. And of course, fresh cuts every week. So there you go.
Yeah, speaking of, the next episode, we either could do Frankenstein, because I think this Friday is the Netflix release, or I don't know if anything comes out theatrically this week. But
offhand, I'm not sure. Yeah.
We also, we postponed the main show to this coming up Friday. So if the next episode of Fresh Cuts isn't Frankenstein Netflix release, then we'll definitely talk about it probably on the main show, or at least whoever's seen it at that point. Mm-hmm. It'll just dictate how much we talk about it, depending on how many of the hosts have or haven't seen it.
It looks like the only thing horror adjacent opening this weekend is Predator Badlands. That's it.
That
I was gonna say, do we even get anything in theaters until Scream 7?
I think we got a Five Nights at Freddy next, right? Five Nights at Freddy 2.
That's first. I thought Scream 7.
I mean, I'm not sure. It could. How could? I mean, we literally just got the first trailer. Are you telling me that it's going to be out in November?
I'm just saying, I don't remember anything coming out the rest of the year. I don't know if we have any theatrical releases.
Oh, no. Five Nights at Freddy's is December 2nd. Yeah. We definitely have more coming out this year.
Keeper comes out this year, doesn't it? Or is that not until
next year? Keeper, absolutely. I mean, that's my potential number one.
That's why I was asking, because I thought that got postponed. Okay.
No, the Keeper trailer is actually playing. Like, I've been avoiding it.
That's what I was going to say, because I don't keep track of that stuff. I heard that it was supposed to be 2025, but I haven't seen anybody sharing it, so I didn't know if it got postponed or not. But that was the whole point of why I was asking, because I remember that was supposed to be out, and I remember Five Nights being sometime this year, but I don't keep track of trailers. I don't know. So I was just asking if Scream 7's the next theatrical one.
No, Keeper is going to be the next one. Keeper is in 2 weeks, November 14th.
Okay.
That self-help movie, I forgot the actual title, is in theaters now. I just don't know if it'll be long enough to I
doubt it. It was only getting one screening a day out here, so I mean, it probably won't get a second week.
The reviews seem pretty good, so hopefully it hits VOD in time to include in this year's considerations.
Yeah.
I liked it.
And
Yeah, it was fun.
ultimately, if we decide that we want to do it, I can see it before it leaves theaters because it's still technically in theaters at least until Thursday. So if we decide to do self-help, I can just see it earlier in the week.
I really
Yeah.
liked it. I thought it was fun. So
Yeah, I'm down.
Yeah, I mean, if I can get to the theater before Thursday, I'm down to do it, especially if we
Right.
don't have anything else.
Yeah, well, check your listings this weekend too, just to absolutely confirm that it's not playing after Thursday. That's just my guess. Like I said, I'm not 100% sure, but usually when I get a movie out here and it's only got one screening a day, we get a week of it and that's it. So
Yeah. And then we have the commentary on VHS Halloween out. So if you didn't get a chance to listen to it before the holiday, you can use it as a Halloween hangover episode. What else? I got a guest spot coming up in a couple weeks, but we're still gonna have some of our own episodes released before that, so I'll share details on that later. And I think that's about it. The main show will be recording hopefully this coming up Friday. And there's actually like news items to talk about this time, which I'm kind of
yeah,
glad because usually I'm like like I scour just to have something to talk about, but some interesting things have actually hit the news. So, and it will still be time as long as we get to record this Friday and we don't have to postpone like another week or two, it still will be considered timely. So it's not like sometimes I pull my show notes when we actually record. I'm like, damn, this news was like 2 months old. I think that's it. So next episode, yeah, nothing to announce yet. We got some contenders, some possibilities, and I think that's it. So thanks everyone for listening. We'll be back in a week with another episode of Fresh Cuts. Let's say bye to the listeners.
later.
Mr. Cognetti, please let this franchise die. Just please let it die.
It's in hell now.
I hope so.
Peace.